Across the country, a fourth wave of the coronavirus is surging, and it is putting enormous pressure on our healthcare staff.
Here in Maine, 194 people are in the hospital because of the virus. 67 are in critical care. 40 are on ventilators. That's a pandemic high for our state, according to state CDC records. Hello, and thanks for joining us on News Center Maine at 5:30. I'm Amanda Hill.
And I'm Chris Costa. As you can guess, a surge in COVID cases means a surge in COVID testing. Doctors at hospitals across the state say the demand for COVID-19 testing is at an all-time high. That's due in large part to the rise in COVID-19 cases from the Delta variant. Doctors are also saying it could take longer for you to get an appointment. And there's one type of test that is making the true picture of the spread of the virus less clear. Let's take a closer look.
Yeah, we're testing more people than we ever had before.
High demand for a COVID-19 test is making appointments harder to find.
And the last 2 weeks were record-breaking weeks for the total amount that we've tested in a single week.
Northern Light Health says they are testing up to 1,300 patients a day across the hospital system. They say more than 1 in every 10 people they test is infected with the virus.
That's a huge number and a huge jump in what we're talking about in overall cases per 100,000 than we had seen previously.
The increased demand for a COVID test comes as parts of the state struggle to get testing supplies. Maine CDC Director Dr. Nirav Shah says you may have to wait longer or travel farther than you wish to get a test.
None of that is acceptable in the midst of a pandemic. And one of our team's top priorities right now is to expand access to testing more broadly across the state.
Dr. James Jarvis from Northern Light Health says they are not facing those supply chain strains and that the larger issue for them is staffing the swab and send locations. That is causing delays. As for the over-the-counter or at-home COVID-19 tests, Dr. Jarvis issues a word of caution.
We know that they unfortunately have a higher rate of both false positive and false negative, so it's hard to rely solely on those tests.
On top of that, the Maine CDC says those at-home tests are not included in its data. The CDC takes test result data that is reported electronically. A spokesperson said results reported on paper or other methods often do not include negative results, which can affect positivity rate calculations.
If those aren't getting reported out, then we really don't have a true sense of what the positivity rate is.
So if you do use one of those at-home tests, you should tell the Maine CDC about your results. They say if you are positive, you should stay home and call your doctor. As for getting an appointment, if you need a COVID test for travel or college, you should schedule it far in advance to make sure you have the results on time.
Meanwhile, one of the big drivers of the COVID test demand in our state is coming from schools. Pool testing is a big part of the in-person safety plan in a lot of districts. Students are tested frequently and the results are pooled. If a positive test shows up, then individual students are tested. As of Friday, the Bangor Daily News reports 384 out of 720 public and private schools in our state signed up with testing company Concentric. In Bangor, this kiosk could soon offer COVID testing at the airport. City officials say Curative Incorporated wants to provide a testing kiosk at the Bangor Domestic Airport Terminal. The company says the self-administered swab tests would be free and results should take no longer than 48 hours once the swab arrives at the lab. The company's Director of Operations, Blake Lackey, said the site would be open to anyone, not just travelers.
This happens to be the best opportunity for us to get it into the community. And we feel the community is going to come to this location, not necessarily because they're taking off to go to a flight, but because we're offering this community-based program there at a location that everybody knows.
He says it would be the company's first kiosk in Maine. A city council vote on the plan is expected tonight.